I saw a post by Sir Walter Mack, a prominent preacher, I think, North Carolina, Virginia. He's East Coast preacher. And he was talking about 300 funeral rules and said, make sure your family's got the 10 grand for the funeral. And I said that 10 grand might not get you buried nowadays. And so, of course, all of the folks attacked me and said gouging and, oh, yeah, I can do it and I can do it. I can do it. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'm a 15-year vet, talk to directors every day, have made it with the best of the best. Let me start painting some pictures for you. $10,000, of course, should get you buried. But hey, it depends on the cemetery. Everybody doesn't want to bury in the cemetery around the way off the cut in the back of the place over across the street from that. Some of them want to come to nice cemeteries. Nice cemeteries now, because cemeteries, see, I ran a large, nice cemetery. And let me tell you some things that can happen in the cemetery world. In the cemetery world, most African Americans want to bury on what I like to call National Funeral Day. National Funeral Day is not Saturday, it's Saturday. When's the service? Saturday. Okay, the service is Saturday. Well, guess what? The nicest cemeteries require an outer burial container. And most outer burial containers are going to be at a minimum 4 figures by themselves, just depending on how nice you get it. And because you want to go on Saturday, the vault company is going to charge an extra premium to the funeral home. So the funeral home has additional cost. And since they do, they have to pass it along to you. And with cemeteries knowing that they probably have a good 7 to 8 year run left before cremation just comes as that big blob and just crushes all the cemeteries in the world, they're starting to charge more. They're not doing it based on what they think you think is fair. They're trying to grab as much profit as they can get quickly as they can. And so when you tell somebody, if they want to do a $10,000 service, I can get it done. First of all, anyone that blindly says that, you always have to check them. Because let me start painting some pictures. You're burying Big Mama. You're burying Junebug. What if Junebug and Big Mama need an oversized casket? And because they need an oversized casket, that's going to cost more. They're going to need an oversized outer burial container. That's going to cost more. And when they go to the cemetery, guess what? The oversized outer burial container won't fit in one grave. So now you have to buy a second grave. They don't talk about that now. There's only one opening and closed because they're only going to open the grave once. But now you need a second grave. So the cost of... So before you blindly just throw a number out, yes, it should. Common sense would warrant that it could. But I went to a funeral home website and I bought what I thought was a middle class funeral. Imaginary. Just went through their price list. Wasn't trying to be over top. Wasn't trying to show out at church in my mind. I bought, since you're going to get it out of burial container, I bought a casket spray. I figured one family car. And I figured a decent casket. I did that. And one family car, a casket spray, and the hearse. And an outer burial container. Didn't go over the top, but bought one of Wilbert's nicer, not super nice, but bought a decent Wilbert vault. And before you know it, on the funeral home side, I was over 10 grand. I haven't been to the cemetery, and I ran a cemetery. The thing that I know that makes funeral directors mad as fire is when they look at their bill that they may have on assignment. And the family goes to the cemetery and brings back a cemetery bill on the assignment. And the cemetery bill might be larger than the funeral home bill. That never ceases to make a funeral director boil. When the cemetery bill is bigger, the family that you said didn't have any money, they go to the cemetery and they come back with this big old whopper thing. So look, hey, I'm fine, 10,000 should get you done. But anyone who blindly says, I know I'll get you done in a minute without having all the facts, it kind of shows that you're not true to the situation. It shows that you're not true to the client. And when you speak for the cemeteries and you're talking to people from all parts of the country, you can only speak for the cemeteries in your area. I worked for a cemetery that was owned by a large national concern, and I was the GM, so I fought for everyone to keep the cost relatively manageable. I'm not saying cheap, manageable. But now, post-COVID, every cemetery has just gone up astronomically. So look, don't just give a blind figure without having all the, it kind of means that you're not always true. Sometimes that means that you're, what do you call it? Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of what I call it. It'll hit me in just a second. This thing of ours is sacred. So when you just throw out blanket numbers, and you should be able to do a service, but until you get all of the facts, because I said 10,000 might not get you buried. It might not. Buried. I didn't say cremated. I didn't say memorial service. I said buried. So a lot of that is a function of the cemeteries in that particular area. We can't just be so ready to tell a family anything without the facts, without the situation, without the circumstances. When you just blindly say, I know I could do it with 10 grand, without knowing where they want to be buried, without knowing Big Mama's size, without knowing whether this cemetery charges more because it's on a holiday, or they want to have a service on a Sunday because they're Jehovah's Witnesses and Seventh-day Adventists, and they don't want to have it on a Saturday. Be very careful for just giving a blanket price. That's it. Because you can put yourself in a trick bag. Please always have all of the facts. And then when you have all of the facts, if the 10,000 fits what your firm does and it'll please the family and please you, then serve that family and serve them well and serve them until you're able to serve them again. But watch about just blurting out, I know I could do it without having all the facts. You may be able to do it in your little small town cemetery, but everybody doesn't want to be buried in the little small town cemetery. Some of them want to go to some of the larger corporate concerns, and when they go to those larger corporate concerns, they make you pay. All right, just thought I would just say 10,000 some places might be a stretch. Be blessed.